Welcome to our segment of Building and Growing Your Valuation Practice. I'm Kathy Knapp, your host for this segment. Today, we'll be discussing the elements of the marketing mix and how they can help you grow your practice. We'll also be interviewing two people who have been very successful in building strong valuation practices. The best way to grow your practice is by considering your marketing mix. The marketing mix framework has traditionally been viewed as four components called the 4 Ps. The 4 Ps are product, price, promotion, and place. Let's look at each of these components more closely. Product refers to what you're selling and is perhaps best defined as the benefits that the client gets from your work. There are also other considerations for defining your product. You may choose to focus on a particular niche, such as valuations necessary in a divorce or valuations for certain size companies. You may focus on certain industries, such as physicians' practices or oil and gas. Your product includes not only your valuation work, but also the report or other deliverable that you provide them. This is likely the only tangible part of your product in the service business we play in. Price refers to the price you charge for the benefits you provide, also known as your services, and in our case, how you determine or set the price for those services. There are many ways you can price valuation work, including billing hourly, quoting a fixed fee, quoting a fixed fee with options, using change orders if the work ends up being different from what was agreed upon, giving a price range estimate and then billing based on how much effort was involved, or value-based pricing, which is pricing based on the value to the client. This is probably where you'd really like to be, but it's kind of hard to get there sometimes. Promotion is our third P, and promotion includes what most of us think is marketing and PR, which in today's wired world also is expanded to include the Internet. Promotion includes traditional media, such as brochures, press releases, advertising, etc. But it also includes social media, your website, networking, which can be either face-to-face or by electronic means, one-on-one meetings, for example, to get to know your potential referral sources, speaking engagements, writing articles, etc. Our fourth P is place. Place really refers to where you're offering your services and who you're offering your services to. Some considerations may include the geography that you're focusing on, the industry that you're focusing on, attorneys, and specifically the type of attorneys for the niche that you're targeting, accountants, business owners, etc. The 4 Ps of marketing mix, product, price, promotion, and place, should all work together to help you reach your target audience and effectively grow your business. Now that we have the framework for the 4 Ps of the marketing mix, let's talk with a couple of people who have built very robust valuation practices. I'd like to welcome Rod Burkert and Mel Abraham. Both Rod and Mel have built successful practices which they have consciously evolved to fit their interests and lifestyles. Rod and Mel, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome, Kathy. Thanks for having us.
Let me start out by asking you, what tips do you have for marketing evaluation practice?
I think the number one thing that you need to consider is whatever you do is probably just to be the most deeply committed to the one strategy and a presence that's unique to just you within your world of competition. And that's maybe a fancy way of saying specialization by the kind of work you do or who you do the work for.
You know, my keyword is really that of positioning. How do you position yourself in your market space? How do you resonate with your audience at a deep level? You know, they've talked about the fact that people make decisions emotionally and back them up with logic. You want your customers, you want your referral sources to truly fall in love with you. And I think that's the challenge when we start to look at how to resonate with a marketplace. We need to do it uniquely, we need to do it memorably, and we need to do it emotionally where they feel connected. And sometimes we try to hit too many things or be too many things to too many people. So how do we take a disengaged group of folks and make them engaged? And the reality is that the bridge across that is marketing. And And when we are dealing with that, we can look at that bridge that's called marketing and break it down into a couple of component parts. And by understanding those parts and then utilizing some of the tools and some of the things that we'll talk about in this interview, and it then allows you to take someone from a disengaged to engaged audience. And one of the first things is really kind of what Rod was saying: define your customer. I mean, who is it that we're going after? Who is the appropriate customer? What is the marketplace? What is the industry? And being specific about it and intentional about it. The second piece is really communication. How are we going to communicate with that marketplace? How are we going to communicate? How are we going to resonate? How are we going to really connect with them, which is the next piece, is connection. And those are the three elements that really come in place when we're talking about marketing. A lot of times, given that, there's two other pieces that say, how do I bridge the customer and the communication? And that's really understanding how our customer communicates. What's the mode of communication? Is it direct mail? Is it a combination of modalities? Is it social media? Is it using Facebook plugins or LinkedIn or some of the other tools that Rod's going to get into? And then this last piece is really meaning. In order for us to really connect with an audience, it needs to mean something to the audience. It has to resonate. It has to have some emotional appeal to it beyond the fact that there's facts in there and that there's data in there and that it gives you statistics. It really has to resonate with them at a personal level, at a deep level, where they say, got it, means something to me, now let me talk further. So that's really kind of a real quick synopsis of what I call engagement marketing.
Do you have any specific suggestions for us on using social media?
I have 3 quick tips that I'd like to offer. They're all related to LinkedIn. The first tip is, please change your LinkedIn headline from headlines that look like this. And I just pulled 4 random headlines. And basically what you see that is common in all 4 of these headlines is you don't know really what the person does. It says, I'm an attorney, I'm a director, I'm a shareholder. And the last one is, I'm a partner. But it doesn't tell me what you do. It just tells me who you are. And the headline is very important in LinkedIn from a keyword perspective, because when attorneys look for business valuation experts, they'll type in business valuation experts and maybe the name of the city. And the first place that LinkedIn searches is your headline. So if your headline doesn't have the keywords about what you do, you're not going to fare as well in the search results. But in contrast to these 4 headlines, let's look at the next slide that I just love, and I love them for 2 different reasons. The first one says, I provide forensic accounting services to law firms. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind, in your mind, in anyone else's mind what this person does. The second headline I like for a totally different reason, thinking outside of the box. This person is changing the way insurance and financial services are sold. The second tip that I have is changing how you connect to other people. Generally, LinkedIn has a very bland, generic message to enable you to connect with somebody, and it's on the order of, I'd like to add you to my professional network. That's not very warm. Clearly, you didn't put any thought into it. I have a way to connect. One of them is, hi, Joe. I just saw you pop up on LinkedIn, and I'd like to add you to my network of professional contacts. Hope you'll accept. It's generally more warm than the method of connecting or the message of connecting that we saw on the last slide. And then I have one last tip. Social media is not about you, and that's what I was mentioning earlier. Social media is a place to say something. So put forth an idea or an opinion. The second thing that I would like to pass on is that social media is a place to share something, and that sharing can be a tip or a resource or an article that you think your professional contacts, your referral sources, or your clients might find really useful. And last, social media, it's a great place to promote something. The great work you did for someone as an example. Actually writing a recommendation for somebody, especially one that isn't asked for, just goes a long way towards building credibility in social media. There you have it, 3 great tips to make your use of social media mean something, not for just yourself, but also for your clients and your referral sources and your colleagues.
Thanks, Rod. That's great. And those 3 tips are something that would be easy for all of us to implement. Thank you for putting those forward.
You're welcome.
I want to thank all of you for joining us today, and then tune in next month for more ideas on building and growing your valuation practice.